Hey, Chris Manning here from Locked On Cavs on WKYC. Today's episode is brought to you by Michelob Ultra. Enjoyment isn't the end game, it's the whole game. And only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Evan, we're here on WKYC. We're here in our last video show before the draft lottery. So we're going to start today's show doing some Tankathon sims.
Well, first off, I know you hate being the center of attention, but folks, Chris is so dedicated to his craft and Locked On Cavs as a whole as he's recording on his birthday. I didn't even do that this year. Granted, Chris gave me the night off on my birthday, but...
Yeah, so Evan sent me this cursed Baby Yoda Joker doll that if you're on video, you can see. If you're not, just, oh my God. So, Evan...
I thought it was like Annabelle and it fell on its own.
It's like Chucky doll. So, Evan, just so you know, I've named this doll. It is named Joaquin Jack Heath Hamill Moore. And the Hamill Moore is hyphened.
That's a mouthful, but I like it.
Well, do you understand why it's named that?
Is that every person that's the Joker?
Joaquin Phoenix, okay.
Yes.
Jack Nicholson, Heath Ledger. Then Hamill Moore is Mark Hamill, the best Joker. The only Joker that I like, and then Alan Moore, because he wrote the Definitive Joker story, The Killing Joke.
Ooh, I'm surprised you didn't include Troy Baker in there somehow, who succeeded Mark Hamill because the Joker voice kills Mark Hamill's throat every time he does it.
I generally didn't know that Mark Hamill ever got succeeded, but this little curse thing was Evan's birthday gift to me. It's generally a delight. The troll bit continues. I'm honestly prefer this to getting the Joker Blu-ray in the mail, which would have been...
I thought about it, but I was just like, you know what? This is a rare opportunity. And I saw the picture of the child they used in it, and it's clearly not like naturally made. It's probably from whatever hellspawn it came from, but like there's a picture of like a kid cuddling it. And I visualized Chris. I'm like, oh,
that kid 100%. That kid 100% is in therapy now, by the way. Just 100%. Like it's seeing a therapist because of nightmares.
The kid's cuddling it and sleeping, and I visualized
we're going to Tankathon. No more Joker. No more Joker. Unless like Joker 2 is going to sponsor the and then like we'll do Joker week. All right, Evan, let's do some Tankathon sims. So here's my first one. You ready? And this one, everyone I've done today, because we did them on the green room thing we did for Locked On. Everyone I've gotten today has been like chaotic, and I'm not gonna like read too much into this because it's just odds,
Chris kept spinning the wheel until he got something he wanted.
Well, but I kept getting like
for those who listen, we're gonna hopefully go to Vegas for the summer league, and if Chris is on the craps table, he's gonna be that guy who says, "No, I'll respin it. I don't like those results." And so
I'm 100% not gambling unless I see like someone from a publication I want to like. Like if I see like Sean Fennessy like there at Summer League and he's like gambling, I'm 100% gonna try and like small talk him at a craps table, and then write that off of my taxes.
My girlfriend's part Croatian. Let's chat.
Can we talk about Ante Zizic, Croatian Czech?
The baby Czech himself. But spin the wheel. Tell me what we got.
All right, so here's the first one. This is just cursed. Detroit number 1, Toronto number 2. That's jumping up 5 spots. Sacramento to 3 up 6 spots. Houston goes to 4, Orlando 5, Oklahoma City 6, and then the Cleveland Cavaliers at number 7. Cursed.
I mean, that's less than ideal for the Cavs, but I think Detroit getting the first pick in Cade Cunningham is a really good thing for them. I think the Pistons, I thought at least they had nowhere to go, but they are building a little something up there. We talked about this in the green room, Spotify green room session we had with all the Locked On hosts, which was a lot of fun.
You get that right. You get that right.
I will. Toronto getting the second pick. I don't think I'd be too upset about that. Did you say Orlando was third? Or no, Sacramento. Sacramento being third. That's a little frustrating because they already have a lot of young players. Bagley is a bust, and you look at Luka now. It's just, even more frustrating what Sacramento is and isn't doing. But whatever. I guess De'Aaron Fox and Jalen Green maybe and a bunch of other young fun pieces are there, and you finally get rid of Buddy Hield at that point because you definitely aren't going to start Buddy. But I don't know. The Cavs dropping to 7 is less than ideal. It's like our actual Locked On podcast mocks where we picked Jalen Johnson the last 2 weeks. Spoiler, but I'm sure if you guys are listening in later in the week, this is coming out Friday, I believe. We took Johnson 2 weeks in a row now just because outside of the top 5, I think he has one of the higher upsides. It's just you have to feel comfortable with the fact that he kind of quit on his high school team his senior year, and then people dragged his name through the mud when he left Duke and to prepare for the draft. But you know what? I think he has a lot of upside. He's a really intriguing player.
Do you have any concerns about like them doing something Galaxy Brain at this range?
Because
I do.
We
I
talked
do
about Justin Rowan about this for almost 2 hours, but I could see them trading out of the spot entirely at that point and maybe trying to package that pick, the 7th overall pick, with like Colin Sexton and Larry Nance Jr. to try and go big name hunting to make a desperate push to be the 6th seed so you can avoid the play-in tournament entirely. But it seems like an exercise in futility. I think you grab the young player and you move forward and try and make some tertiary margin moves in free agency.
Yeah, I think that's right. Okay, let's do another one here. Okay, and boom. Okay, I like this one. This one's still chaotic, but I like it. Charlotte, 10 spots to number 1, which would be like kind of like Cade and LaMelo together is like.
Oh, that'd be a video game team.
The playmaking on that team, and then like the fake like Rozier and like Devontae Graham trades. So I think Devontae Graham's on RFA, but regardless, then Cavs at number 2, and cool. this two is the spot that is, I think, most fascinating because I think you could make takes about 2 different guys.
It's the toughest spot, I think, for Cleveland too.
I'm a little like, I know you're very well. We haven't exactly explicitly talked through this in the show, but if they go 2 and they take Mobley, you would say trade Jared Allen right away. I am just not on that camp. I'm like, we'll figure this out. Be patient. Don't like trade your asset at the point where like you have no really leverage at that point. Correct? Like it's just sort of like a tricky thing. I would hold on to him, but I think there's a case for Jalen Green too. I just think I think Mobley like might be great. I get a little the threshold to be a game-changing big if you're going to get to where you want to go in the playoffs is like a little trickier. And I worry a little bit about that. And Green has an upside I think could distinguish him from Mobley.
See, that's what makes it so tough for me because I like Jalen Green a lot. He is everything that Kevin Porter Jr. was at his age, which I think is like 18, 19 years old. We saw the on-court chemistry. I'm regurgitating all the points Justin made Rowan has made if you haven't listened to the show at all this week, folks. But Jalen Green has like all the tools and assets of KPJ. He will probably build instant familiarity and comfort with Darius Garland and some of the other key young pieces. Like I get the upside, but at the same time, he's too small to play the 3 right now. You can bring him along slowly, but then it makes the conversation even harder. Like, look, also it depends how much money the Cavs pay Colin Sexton if he's here through this summer. If they're paying him 18 to 20 million a year, like you and I have heard around the league at this point, I think you can justify having him come off the bench. Or I don't know if you view. It's odd. It makes things awkward because then there's like Isaac Okoro who makes a lot of sense, not offensively, but defensively. He covers a lot of the lumps of the perimeter issues that the guards on Cleveland's roster have. But I'm just really intrigued by Evan Mobley. He reminds me a lot of Chris Bosh. And Chris Bosh in Toronto was really, really good. And then Chris Bosh in Miami when he started playing the 5 was incredible. And I think he'll have a similar career trajectory where, like, I view him long-term, Evan Mobley, long-term as a 5, but it just, you ease him into that. And, like, I know I'm on the record and saying, like, yes, you should trade Jared Allen if you draft Evan Mobley. I think there's going to be a little bit of a push from his camp, especially if he's like, listen, why would I be playing at this position? And I don't know, the Cavs, I'd be frustrated at least. And plus, you got to find some minutes because you still got Kevin Love on the roster. You still got Larry Nance Jr. on the roster. Isaiah Hartenstein might be back too. There's only so many minutes to go around for the big guys. When you take Mobley too, you got to sacrifice somebody to make some room for him too. And I think Allen is probably the easiest of the bunch for the Cavs to move, other than Nance. But I don't know. That's why I say 2 is tough. If Cleveland went to 3 and one of Mobley or Green is off the board, so much easier for the Cavs to make that decision. Then you don't have to be like, okay, it's like you're juggling both. And then I don't know if they're 4. I always say you take Suggs and then you consider that as well. And then you just get really funky with it. And I'd probably have a meltdown because I feel like we might try and do a live show again for the draft. I'd have a meltdown if the Cavs took another guard.
We have not talked about this. Okay, last one here. Let's get a different result that is different than what we already talked about. Okay, number 1, jumping 4 spots. You take Cade. This is the dream outcome. Doesn't matter what happens behind this, right? Like you just
the
take
Cavs
Cade
got 1.
Yeah, Cavs get 1, no matter what like happens beyond like lower than this. I think you just take Cade and you go home very happy, and that's like where we're at 5 days from now. Is I think I really think this will be a tone-setting night in a lot of ways, and we'll see kind of how the Cavs approach this. But I am fascinated by this. I'm very ready for it to be here.
No,
I'm
really
just
ready.
very ready.
I'm ready for it to be here too, and I'm also ready to save some money when I need to tune up my car. Chain stores have different price tiers for professional mechanics and do-it-yourselfers. RockAuto.com's prices are the same for everybody and are reliably low. RockAuto.com always offers the lowest prices possible rather than changing prices based on what the market will bear like airlines do. RockAuto.com is for everybody and does not require membership or account login. RockAuto.com is a family business serving auto parts customers online for 20 years. Go to RockAuto.com to shop for auto and body parts from hundreds of manufacturers. The RockAuto.com catalog is unique and remarkably easy to navigate. Quickly see all the parts available for your vehicle and choose the brand, specifications, and prices you prefer. So if you're interested, go to RockAuto.com right now and see all the parts available for your car, truck, vehicle, minivan, you name it. Right, Locked On in their How Did You Hear About Us box, they know that we sent you. Amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need. Check them out today at rockauto.com.
All right, Evan, let's do some mailbag. We've got a bunch of great questions from loyal Locked On Cavs listeners.
Got one trolley question from Locked On Thunder host Rylan Stiles, which that was a he pulled the pin on a hand grenade and expects me to lay on it like Steve Rogers.
Yes. All right. First one comes from Pool_Boyo. Would the Cavs pass up on someone like Jalen Green? And I'm going to add Jalen Suggs to this as well because Colin Sexton is currently here. You go first.
Absolutely not. The Cavs are in a rebuild for a reason. They need to accumulate talent, and the way they can do that best is through the draft. If the organization believes Jalen Green or Jalen Suggs are one of the two top options for them, sans Cade Cunningham or Evan Mobley, like none of these players should deter Cleveland from selecting them because the Cavs aren't in the position yet to be saying, you know what, let's draft for fit. No, you're drafting for best player available every single time, and I still think you do that no matter what because the team building ethos is weird. It can sometimes be a little clunky. I mean, if you had like a LeBron James or Luka Doncic, that changes the calculus entirely. But if you're Cleveland, you acquire these players no matter who they are, and then you figure it out from there.
I agree. I don't think they're at a spot where they can pick away from stuff, right? Like I think someone like Jalen Green, like even if you want to argue that there's like some overlap between him and Sexton, right? Like, and I don't think that's like totally unfair in terms of like you maybe saying like there is some overlap here. What I will say is that Green is like a big creator and Sexton just is not.
No, he's not. And that's just the thing
there's just a difference there, right? Like there is just a difference in terms of how they're approaching that and how you would build. There's just a difference in how you can build with a big creator like that. If you have a 6'6" creator, it just offers you a little bit more because if you have that, they can see over defenses, they can navigate some of this stuff a little bit better. Like Sexton can be like maybe your number 2, your number 3 kind of guy in that sense. But like if you can have that your A+ shot creator is big, it is just a structural advantage to offense the NBA. I don't necessarily even love that is like a thing that is always the case, right? Like I don't necessarily even feel like I love that like this, like we can get very homogenous with this kind of stuff. But I do just think it's just the reality of it. And if like you can get Jalen Green and you think he can be your number 1 scoring option, and like I think he also is a different kind of scorer in terms of his ability to pace the game out, and I don't know he has the playmaking feel that you sort of maybe need at the highest level, but like there's just a lot of upside there as a scoring wing that I think you can't pass up. Again, the Cavs are not good. This isn't like this is a good team that's like being picky and lucked into a high pick because of lottery luck or like bad injuries in a weird season or whatever. Like this is just a bad basketball team that can't be picky. Like they maybe can get to like playoff play-in or playoff hunting next year, we'll see. I need to see there's some changes and some moves that I think would need to be made. But like, this isn't a good team, and that's just the reality of it.
Yeah, no, it pretty much is. And like Kevin O'Connor has a really well put together, just like big board. And he says Jalen Green has shades of Zach LaVine, Brad Beal, and Malik Monk. He's saying he's not going to be any of those players. He's Jalen Green, but that's who he reminds him of. And Jalen Green's oozing with potential. It's just the Cavs need to be patient and give him some polish. And I think the luxury of having Sexton is you can bring Green along slowly as a six man or coming off the bench for the Cavs. And once he starts to blossom and reach his apex, that's when you make that tough decision and say like, okay, Colin, what do we do with you? Because like Chris said, if they truly believe Jalen Green is worthy of this top pick that they're going to take because they are so bad and they are going to be in this position, take it. You swing for it. You don't second guess yourself. And every draft changes the team building ethos as well. Like I'm sure like Cade Cunningham and Evan Mobley are the two biggest names coming into this draft this time last year, this draft class, I should say. And I think Jalen Green was a fringe option, but he's really cemented himself because of the Ignite program. And like the NBA has a lot of familiarity with him. Like you go with it and you don't look back. Ditto for Jalen Suggs. I like Jalen Suggs a lot. I think he has a lot of interesting fits with this Cavs team. Dave Zavak pointed this out as well. Like he was recruited from a couple big programs, but he chose Gonzaga, even though like Gonzaga is a bigger name program. It's still considered a mid-major, and it's not like a marquee program. Like he didn't care about that. He just wants to go there and play hoops. And I don't know, like KOC has Jalen Suggs with shades of Brandon Roy, Chauncey Billups, Jamal Murray. Like those types of players would be perfect on the Cavs too, because he can play off ball, he can provide perimeter scoring, and most importantly, he can provide defense and playmaking, which is just such a dire need for the Cavs right now. And like Jalen Suggs would make things really clunky and awkward, especially with Darius Garland. But like I think a Garland Suggs backcourt could work. I think a Suggs Sexton backcourt could work. I think if you really want to get freaky with it, you could play all three at the same time and go super small. I don't know. I'm not opposed to picking Suggs either. Like I said, the Cavs cannot be too picky. If they land third or fourth and it's Jalen Suggs on the board at that point, and let's say like Jalen Green's gone and they just do not want Evan Mobley at all for some reason, which is still absurd to me, like you take Suggs still and you don't look back.
Yeah, all right. I think that's a good way of putting it. If the Cavs overthink this and don't take someone because they have someone already, whoever it is, like Sexton or someone else, like that's just like that's just and bad roster building.
Talked about this with Justin too. Like Jared Allen's only like this, and people thumb their nose at Jason Lloyd, but he's right. Jared Allen's like the only safe bet to be a starter on this roster long term. So
yeah, we'll see where even that goes. Okay, so quick question here. Connor Dickinson, Connor at 5 Luka, that's it. That's the question. So here's my question. He's not getting traded, but Evan, how many picks would you give up for Luka Doncic if you knew he wanted? He said, hey, I want to come to Cleveland. What's too much to give up for Luka?
I don't think there's too much you can give up for Luka, because that's a LeBron level prospect that is asking to be traded. It's like Giannis demanding a trade out of Milwaukee if they don't fire Mike Budenholzer on the spot after the playoffs. But I don't know how many picks were given up from the James Harden trade. I use that as my baseline, I guess, as the latest superstar to be moved. I think it was a lot, but it's going to be something of that caliber. Like Cleveland's going to mortgage their entire future for Luka, and I know some folks in the Cavs fan base think Colin Sexton's already better, but I would trade all four players from this young core and mortgage the entire future for Luka, and then just watch it happen, watch it work out, because Luka is the best player from that draft class, and he is going to be the best player in the league in no time at all.
Yeah. All right. So today on Road to the Finals, our NBA playoffs, we'll be back after this break. But today on Road to the Finals, our NBA playoffs or finals coverage is brought to you by Michelob Ultra. It is only worth it if you enjoy it. And at 2.6 carbs and 95 calories, we can all enjoy the games a little bit more this season. Evan, right now we're watching Joel Embiid on a torn meniscus throttle the Atlanta Hawks. Kevin Durant played one of the greatest games I've ever seen a player play the night before against Milwaukee. And like,
dude, when he hit that three-pointer, I'm just like, first off, I felt Milwaukee's pain. Texted friend of the pod, Ty Windish, and said, I know that feel all too well. But
the best shot I've ever seen in person was still KD hitting the game winner, the game-stealing shot in Game 3 over LeBron. Is still the coldest shot I've ever seen a person hit in a live basketball game. So KD on one, Joel Embiid on one. The playoffs, folks, they're good.
It's been fun.
Also want to tell you about our friends at Built Bar. So Built Bar has 9 delicious flavors, plus the occasional limited time flavor. When you talk to a Built Bar fan, they're definitely passionate about their faves. If you don't know the Built Bar flavors, you're missing out. They have coconut almond, cherry, raspberry, mint brownie, peanut butter brownie, double chocolate, and salted caramel. My favorite flavor right now, I got to go with the mint brownie. I also had some of the cookie dough chunk ones left from an order, and I ate my last one like 2 days ago, and I was extremely sad about it because cookie dough protein bars that are good are like just catnip for a growing human here, a 20-year-old. But not only are Built Bars the best tasting, they're healthy too. 17 grams of protein, 130 calories, only 4 grams of sugar, and only 4 grams of net carb in most bars. Order today, get that raspberry or that mint brownie or whatever you like. Go to BuiltBar.com, promo code LOCKED15, and you'll get 15% off your first order. Again, promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at BuiltBar.com. All right, Evan, let's answer some more questions here. We'll get 2 more in this last segment. Any ones we don't get into, perhaps we will save them for a future mailbag that we'll do at some point down the line.
Keep your questions coming, folks. It's going to be a long off season.
Yeah, we'll switch in off season mode at some point and do less episodes per week. But here's where we're at. Okay, so Joe K at StillCenter93, aka Birdman, asked, based on current evidence, would you call Kobe? And he spelled Kobe wrong, by the way. I just want to point this out.
And didn't want to say anything.
Kobe is Kobe Bryant. Koby is Kobe Altman.
Okay.
So would you call Kobe good at managing the NBA draft? I'm giving him an incomplete.
I'm
punting my answer.
I'm giving him a solid B because the Darius Garland pick is looking a lot better because Darius had a strong finish to his sophomore season and had a strong sophomore season and bounced back year overall. The Kevin Porter Jr. pick, considering it was 30th overall, and the Cavs gave up 4 second-rounders and cash considerations, the best player in trade history, to the Pistons to get KPJ. Yeah, he's not with the team anymore, so you have to knock the Cavs a little bit for that, but still, it's a really good pick and really good scouting on Kobe's part. Kobe was fundamental in getting Jetty Osman, which I know Jetty's not everyone's favorite player, but yeah, either way. But like the Sexton pick was good for 8th overall, and I don't know. Kobe's done a pretty good job scouting and drafting. I have faith in his ability. I'm interested to see what he would do if he had a first or second, or it's not the first pick, because that's Cade, but if he had 2 or 3, I'm intrigued to see what he does with that, because either he can galaxy brain that thing, or he makes the right pick and we say, okay, good job.
So, Brandon Weems, Mike Gainsey, there's a bunch of other folks that deserve credit because this is like a collective effort. I think sometimes like we do this. I think everyone does this. We subscribe, blame and credit to like one person in the front office when it's like much like that person is just sort of the public face of it all. That I just don't feel like we have like an actual read on like certain things to some degree. Right. And I just don't know if we've ever gotten like what I feel is like genuine explanation for thinking of things. Like everything just feels like a sales pitch. And that colors my ability to sort of discern this. And again, it's just been such a weird 2 years. I'm like just willing to just like figure it, like give him another year until I like grade it. Like the Okoro pick will understand much better a year from now. We will understand Garland much better a year from now. Like this year will tell us about a lot of things, like how this rookie and how they sort of contribute.
Well, this offseason will tell us, if it comes to it, how they feel about Colin Sexton financially. So there's a lot of things we're about to find out draft-wise at the Cavs.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so and then this Mark Schindler at Mark Schindler in the NBA asked, what are you most looking forward to about next season?
Oh, boy. My honest answer is sitting in the press box with you again. Hopefully the Cavs sit us next to each other. Chris and I have not seen each other since March of last year at a Cavs game. 2019, so 2 years ago, actually. So has it been that long, or is it March 2020?
March 2020.
Oh my God. Okay, so it's been a year, but time is relative and just a blur in this COVID-filled land. I know we're getting vaccinated, but it's not going away, so don't give me that spiel. Wear a mask, KPJ would still be a Cav if you did, but Yeah, no, sitting next to you in the press box again, like that's what I'm most looking forward to. And yeah, it probably will have plexiglass barriers, and I'll have to tease you.
I don't even think we're gonna have plexiglass barriers. I think we're just gonna have like a relatively looking normalish.
I was really gonna bring like a stack of post-it notes and like taunt you during the game and just slap it on your plexiglass barrier and just like tease you the entire time that way. But that's what I'm looking forward to the most. I don't locker room interaction too, interacting with the coaches, like the whole. I don't know. There's something fun about going to Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse and like, yeah, I'm absolutely dead the next day because I'm there till 2:00 in the morning. But there's something fun about the experience the whole time, and I miss it. I really do.
What am I? I think that's number one. I think just being like around other humans in that kind of space, is
being able to talk basketball with someone, because my girlfriend doesn't do sports and she tries her hardest, but she's just like, it's like you're speaking a foreign language right now. I'm like, that's fair.
Yes. I just want to see frankly seeing how this plays out will also just be like worth all of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Like, I just think like how it unfolds will just be like sort of like a storyline in and of itself.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment.
I just like, it's just gonna be like a journey that like is gonna shape a lot of what the next couple of years is gonna be like. I generally think this offseason next year is a transition year for the franchise. It's a pivotal year for the franchise in a lot of ways. I think it is maybe the most consequential year for the franchise since 2018. I don't know if that's like a hot take, but like I'm sort of there, I think.
I don't think that's a hot take at all. Like, I mean, yeah, the summer of 2018 definitely sucked because LeBron left and it was the nail in the coffin of that era. But yeah, no, this is a pretty important offseason for the Cavs, especially for Kobe Altman. And I gathered this and I shared my thoughts in my grand return to Twitter.com today. Kobe's probably going to be on a shorter leash too, so we might see some win now moves this offseason that the Cavs make, all while trying to stay somewhat to the course of his vision. So I'm intrigued to see where that goes as well. That's something I'm looking forward to, because the team building process and the draft process is one of my favorite parts of basketball, is like watching how a team builds and constructs itself. Like the Pistons were insane at one point last year, and I loved every move they made. And they were one of the worst teams in basketball this year, but they are a lot more compelling than they were before the offseason last year. And I had a lot of fun watching that.
Evan, we'll end on, I'm going to ask you this. What player are you most excited to see play next year?
In general or on the Cavs? In general or on the Cavs? Well, we are having technical difficulties because you were muted, but that's fine. We'll wrap it up here. And Chris will just have to silently nod with me in agreement. The player I'm looking most forward to seeing play next year is Isaac Okoro, because like I said, if he tightens up his handle and he improves his jump shot even a little bit, the Cavs have something there offensively, because they had him playing a lot of backup point to finish the season last season because of injuries and everything else. And he did pretty well at it. And I don't know. I'm intrigued to see where it goes from there. And Chris, you are back.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, my answer is also Isaac Okoro. I just think he could be a lot of things in year two.
Yeah,
like there's just so many possible outcomes for him. Like it is not quite like Doctor Strange on Mars being like.
First off, it's on Titan.
Sorry, so today I read Planet Size X-Men, and there's like a big thing on Mars in that book, and like Josh Link, if you're listening, but I think it's Isaac Okoro, and it's not quite like Doctor Strange as like the meme of like the bajillion different realities or whatever, but I think it is as close as you could get to that, right? Like he's the guy that I feel most sort of like he could be the same thing. He could have like slightly worse in some way, or he could take like a big leap or a moderate leap. Like I just feel like everyone else has sort of like have a clear peg and a clear like expectation of improvements or what could slide just sort of by virtue of things happening that way. Okoro could just be like anything.
No, that's it's 100%.
Can I give
right.
you?
You know what?
Can I give you my hot take answer is also Kevin Love because I just don't know if he does. I just like don't. My opinion is like get rid of him at this point. Like it's better for everyone. But like if he doesn't get moved, then I don't 100% think it's a lock that he does. What he looks like next year, and like it for a lot of different reasons that are not all his fault, really, I think will just be really fascinating.
No, it really will for sure. I'm intrigued to see what goes on with Kevin as well, and I don't think it's really a hot take. I think you and I are in agreement that the Cavs, it's best for the Cavs to move on. What I'm also intrigued by is all the unreleased music former Cleveland Cavalier Andre Drummond has. I hope folks spam the comments.
I'm glad you brought this up because this is one of this guy, man. This guy.
I had it in my notes and I just scrolled down. I'm like, oh yeah, the Drummond music thing. Let me pull up the post real quick.
That post made me feel like this. Made me feel like Baby Yoda Joker-fied.
Oh.
He ate the Joker fish and Baby Yoda became this. Like when he ate that slug, this is season 3 of Mando.
I hope it's season 3
On that note,
Mando.
Evan. On that note,
we're
gonna get out of here. Have a good weekend. Be well.
See ya Monday.
Bye.
Also, happy 5th year anniversary of the 2016 Cavs. Pew, pew, pew.
We'll talk about a lot of that next week, I think. And go check out our past book club episodes on Return of the King by Win Norton and McMenamin.
Great book, great time. See you Monday.